You fucking nerd!
For the past 100 years, arcades have been a place of childhood joy for many people, myself included. It was one of the social hubs of the town alongside the local skating ring and the local county jail to make new friends and hang out with old ones. I used to regularly arcade at my local cinema all the time during my youth, playing Galaga and skee-ball, but now I look at arcades of today and I ask, what the hell happened? In the beginning, arcades started as penny arcades in the late 1800s, where you would feed a penny to a machine to get your fortune told, or look at photos of animals. These were innovative ways to forget that the factory laid you off because 3,000 more Poles landed in Ellis Island last Sunday. Better get the fuck out. Before the era of video games with computers running the game, arcades of this era were populated with electromechanical games, stuff like pinball tables. And I just love electromechanical machines. It differentiates itself from arcade cabinets enough to justify its existence. It just feels so creative, so many of them. Like, look at the Sega Periscope. This is the coolest fucking thing on planet Earth. The immersion cannot be matched. Like, these machines make me think that baseball is a real sport. But then, 1971 rolls around, and the era of mechanics would soon be overtaken by the arrival of what one businessman named Mullen Bushnell would call an interactive video game. Computer Space and Galaxy game both released in the latter end of 1971 and are considered the first ever arcade games. What's funny is that they're both based off of the same game, Space War, which was an early computer game made for the PDP-1 in 1962. However, no one gave a fuck about these two machines, and they are extremely rare. Good luck ever finding these at your local bowling alley. The year following, another work of Bushnell and Atari would release, Pong, which you all know started the video game industry as we know it. And then from there on out, arcade games would grow to its peak in the 80s, and then slow down by the late 90s and 2000s thanks to the rise of home video game consoles. Now, you didn't have to go to the arcade to play games. You could play a watered-down, inferior version of Pac-Man on the NES. And Super Mario Bros. Now, a lot of people like to say that the arcade industry is dead, but I don't really think that's true. There are tons of arcades. I think people just say that because of the lack of big chains in North America, aside from like Dave & Buster's, and I'm sorry, but it's tangent time. Dave & Buster's is the reason why people say arcades are dead. Yes, I love playing nothing but mobile games and zero skill-based ticket redemption. Like, there is nothing here that I would find fun playing. It feels like they prioritize how many lights they can fit in a room over the substance in the garbage they actually put on the floor. I don't even really consider Dave & Buster's an arcade. It's like what I've seen people call a kiddie casino, or as I like to call it, a Goyamcade. Like, Dave & Buster's just feels so bland. It's corporate. Corporate is the right word for it. It just feels like Dave & Buster's likes to say that these like arcades are tailored more towards an adult experience, but then when I look at the stuff they put out on the floor, it just screams that they're targeting a very young audience here. I just don't get the appeal of it. I hope you like Doodle Jump and Candy Crush. Now, despite Dave & Buster's dominance in the North American arcade scene, one competitor has stepped up to put a dent in that market share. Round One, which is a Japanese chain that made its American debut a couple years ago. Which, arcades in Japan, a lot of people say that arcades in Japan are still alive, like in Asia and Taiwan and stuff, but like dead in North America. And like, that's somewhat true, because like Japan definitely has more big chains with like Sega and Taito game centers and such. And like, they have like specialized like clockades, which, another tangent time, clockades are the most Asian thing on planet. Even the clockades, any clockade in North America I've entered has been nothing but populated by Asian people. You will never find a black person or an Indian inside a fucking clockade. Like, that is the most East Asian thing on planet Earth. Just stuff that bitch with Sanrio toys, and that shit is just an endless haven if you live in like San Francisco or something. Round One was the first that made this courageous jump from the Japanese market over to the North American market, and I do commend them for that, because if you ask Taito to do the same thing, they're just gonna have a fat aneurysm. So I do commend them for bringing them over, because Round One is pretty different from Dave & Buster's, where yeah, sure, you're gonna have your regular Goi machines, but then they also brought over some cool stuff that you don't normally see here, like all of the rhythm games and the UFO catchers and the modern fighting games and stuff that you will never ever find at a freaking Dave & Buster's. So I do commend them for that, although their prices are egregious. Why is $20 the minimum you can put on a card? That is just egregious. And again, all the games are super expensive. Like I remember like translating points into actual cash, it's like $3 for a single round of air hockey, which is preposterous. So overall, I think round 1 is superior to Dave & Buster's, even if their prices are garbage. Going back on the whole arcades are dead in America thing, I just think that's because the quality of most arcades, not even just the chains like Dave & Buster's, fucking suck. Like, gone are the days of Aladdin's Castle, yeah, but I still think there are tons of good arcades out there. If anything, I think arcades are slightly on the rise. Like, I see more of them opening, and I think a lot of the ones opening are of quality. But what do I consider a quality arcade? Well, not Dave & Buster's, that's for sure. I don't know, it has to be a mix of everything. Some old games, some new games, games of all genres, some claw machines, pinball, some ice cold beer, and I can do without Ticket Redemption. Because if you have just new games, I'm just going to call it a Goyam Social and move on. But honestly, if it's all just retro machines, like, I would like that. But there are many arcade games that I like that definitely wouldn't be called retro, like at a retro arcade. You're just, like, at a retro arcade, you're just gonna find Pac-Man and, like, Chiller and nothing else. I enjoy UFO catchers when they just aren't stuffed with Sanrio toys, and I like modern rhythm games and fighting game cabinets. And I hate Big Bass Jackpot. I don't ask for much, I just ask for everything.
With that criteria set for what I think makes a good arcade, why don't we look at some notable arcades and rank them based off of how good I think they are. Or at least the ones that I think are notable, in America specifically. Sorry, I have no time to rank the arcades in Trinidad.
Dave & Buster's. It's the gold, this right here is the gold standard for dog shit. And cause of that, we're gonna set it as the gold standard on our rankings for what I think is a shit arcade. Dave & Buster's, here you go.
Galloping Ghost Arcade. Now, this place is magical. It's located in Chicago, and it calls itself the largest arcade in the entire world, which, I'm sorry, if arcades are dead, if arcades are dead in America, I don't think that the Galloping Ghost, or a location in America, could achieve that title of the largest in the world. You know, it's an independent chain. Like, how can you compete with Taito, with Sega over in Japan and stuff? But you still did. This place is absolutely magical. They have just about every single machine you could ever ask for. Like Chiller, which was the OG Splatter School. They announce a new game every single Monday. It's the Monday mystery game that they do on their Twitch channel. And it's so cool just seeing like what new rare shit they have. Because they have so much rare stuff at the arcade. Like a lot of unreleased stuff. Like they had a copy of Marble Madness 2, which like was lost media for the longest time. Just like no copies available. It was never released. It was never officially released. Like I think as of the recording of this video, the last game they had was some like baseball game that never officially released. And they just have the power, just the purchasing power to just acquire all these rare ass machines that you'll never see anywhere else. And it's magical. It's like $25 to get in, and it's free play, so $25 to get in all day, and it is just actually magical, the amount of shit they have. And like what's honorable is that these are all like the OG cabinets too, which is something I didn't really harp on, because like if an arcade is like using like 1-up arcade machines and shit to play Pac-Man, run. It's not a real place. It's fraud. I think you should file a report if you ever see a place that calls itself an arcade using like arcade 1-up cabinets and shit. But no, all these are running off of the original arcade, CRTs, fuck that LED shit. This is goated. This is an amazing place. There was just so much to see. It is genuinely a marvel of how much stuff. I could only, well actually it was $70,000. They say it's $70,000 that the electric bill is every year. But yeah, it is just magic. You can play again, Marble Man. You can play Quake on an arcade machine. Typing of the Dead
There is an endless amount of arcades. It currently stands at, I think, 1,073, something like that. And because of that, I think it sets the gold standard for, well, not gold standard, but the gold platter of arcades. So it'll be at the very top in the Galloping Ghost arcade tier. Round 1, I think for a chain, Round 1 definitely is making good strides. And if more arcades open with the Round 1 kind of vibe, I think the future of arcades is looking bright. Just anything that doesn't follow in the Dave & Buster's format, I just have to knock them for their prices, though, because this is insane. Again, I don't know why you can't just put $1 or $5 balance on your card when you play. It is a minimum of $20, and let me tell you, those $20 run out fast, especially if you're playing something like the UFO catcher claw machines. I think I did the math. I think it's $3.50 for a play at the UFO catcher machines. It is ridiculous, and I get it. I can understand why it kind of does have to be that price sometimes. But I don't even understand it, because I've been to other places that have the Japanese style UFO machines where you can win a bootleg Snivy plush, and they did not cost as much as this. Usually it's like $1 or $1.50 for a play at these types of machines. And, like, I get that they're not rigged, but I feel like I've seen other places that have the UFO catcher style machines that are not charging $3.50 per play. That is preposterous. It is ridiculous. And the other machines don't fare all that well either. I think it was like $2.75 for a round of Typo Drum machines. It's ridiculous. But their selection is pretty good. Well, at least the stuff that's exclusive to Round 1, like the fighting game machine, got a bunch of modern fighting games. You can play Tekken 7 or Tekken 8, because Tekken 8 sucks. And you can play, they had a Blaze Blue game, just whatever the hell motherboards they can find. Like, I think there was one that had like a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 machine, just whatever motherboards they can find on eBay. But it's still cool that they give you the option for that. And then of course you have all the other shit that the regular masses can enjoy, like the stupid fucking Halo machine that I see at every single arc. That is just a guarantee. Like, it's just a write-off for any arcade to have a Halo machine. So I won't even add that as a deductible in like this scoring. But overall, Round 1 is cool, but in terms of quality, I don't think it competes with independent chains. So because of that, it's gonna go right in the center. It's like, well, I don't want to make that comparison that like Dave & Buster's mom and like Galloping, because that doesn't make sense. But it's stuck in the middle, stuck in between, in the middle of the lake. Fun spot. So this is located in New Hampshire, and it's like it was placed in New Hampshire because it's the only fucking thing to do in New Hampshire. Cause what the fuck is there to do in New Hampshire? New Hampshire. That's like probably the first time I have mentioned the term New Hampshire to some of you in like over a month. Like, what the fuck is there to do in New Hampshire that isn't this place? Like, it literally, I first learned about this place because I remember I had a discussion with my friend about a long time ago about like what is there to do in New Hampshire. Like, it's like the most irrelevant state in like the US. Like, at least people will make jokes about how there's nothing in Wyoming. You can't even make a joke about how there's nothing in New Hampshire because people forget New Hampshire exists. But as tangent aside, this place is really cool. It's also the self-proclaimed largest arcade in America, but that's just a bunch of bullshit because Galloping Ghost outnumbers it in terms of arcade machines, and I think by like a good margin too. I think Fun Spot's only on like 600 total machines, while Galloping Ghost is like past the 1,000 mark. But it's like large because it has a bunch of space because it's in New Hampshire, middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. But it's not just, it's one of these family entertainment centers, so it's not just the arcade. There's a bowling alley, and I don't want to be reminded of bowling. But anyway, there's mini golf and all that stuff. And then there's the arcade, which you'll have your regular stuff, regular kiddie casino gambling for the little kiddies, so they can blow their they can blow their piggy bank savings to win the Sonic plush with their ticket redemption. One cool thing I will have to mention though is that this is like one of the few like arcades out there that are like that still uses tokens, and I'm so sad that that's died out. Like I don't know, every single arcade for like something like 2016, 2017, like every single arcade just unanimously decided we're fucking off with tokens and we're just gonna replace them with cards, which I think, listen, I might just sound old, but I think that is way lamer than the experience of putting a coin in the machine and then having it steal your credit. I miss those experiences. I miss when everything was shitty. But yeah, they still use tickets and they still use tokens, and I think that's just so cool. My local cinema did transition well the card, and I can kind of get it. It stops you getting your token, your credit from getting stolen, and you don't have to print the fucking 5-cent coins. I get it, but that is still just a really cool thing that they still do. And so you have your regular stuff, but then there's also a center called the CAM. It's the Arcade Museum, and that's where they have all their cool stuff. And it's a massive collection of vintage machines and a bunch of retro stuff. It's like a museum of retro stuff, but you can also play it because it's so fucking cool, man. And then they have computer space. That was, again, that makes it a top tier museum arcade, because what fucking arcade has computer space? And then it also has 1972 Pong in the tree trunk design. This shit is awesome. The Pong, it's like if No Name developed an arcade machine. I love these, and they're Omega Rare too. Like, there's not many opportunities you're going to be able to see those two machines, so seeing them at Fun Spot is definitely a really cool experience. A very solid arcade. It was something that the people of New Hampshire needed because they would die of boredom elsewise, and that's why we're going to put it in the S+ tier, because it stands for Saves New Hampshire Citizens from Boredom. Arcade Odyssey, the premier arcade of South Florida. As you can tell, the mascot is a little less scandalous than the Fun Spot mascot. Maybe just to attract a more family-friendly audience than that risque stuff that Fun Spot's pulling. But this is really cool. Just like the Galloping Ghost arcade, there is so much cool, rare stuff they have in the arcade. There's this one machine, Cool Gunman. It's not a game, it's an electromechanical game, but it is so fucking cool. Using the light gun in order to blast the can into the air. I don't even know who comes up with this, but it is such a fucking cool machine and a great way to make your friends rage when they suck at it. I will say there are a fair amount of Blast City cabinets, which I don't mean to sound like a snob, but personally, I only really like Blast City cabinets when it's a game that doesn't come in a dedicated cabinet and it's just a motherboard, like Street Fighter 2, for example. Because, like, if there is a game, a lot of times a lot of arcades will just kind of use Blast City cabinets if they can't find one, which I don't mind, but I'll always prefer the original version of the cabinet. And if you don't know what a Blast City cabinet is, it's these things. It's just like a industry standard arcade cabinet to push it in. Like, I don't mind it, but I will always prefer the original. But they have just so much more than that. Great selection of pinball. Like, why go to Dave & Buster's when you can play Family Guy pinball? Like, what more can I say? So, overall, I'll have to put it right below Galloping Ghost, because it's so goated. It's not as big as Galloping Ghost, maybe only has like 170 games, but their quality selection is just perfect. It is the perfect place to fuck. Push Start Play. Now, this is one of the many good arcades in Texas. Texas, especially the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is like the U.S. capital of arcades. Like how Seattle or Toledo is the U.S. capital for gaming stores. Like the Dallas-Fort Worth area is like the capital for arcades. And they definitely don't have a shortage of them. Push Start Play is probably the largest arcade in Texas. It has about, I think the total was like 760 something machines, which is just incredible. And it's a selection of everything. Redemption games to get your kids addicted early.
and then they have a great selection of retro games and some really rare stuff. They also have one, along with Galloping Ghost, one of 3 Marble Madness 2 machines, which is immediate points for owning something that rare, and other really rare machines like Beavis and Butthead. And then a great selection of pinball, a great selection of mobile games I will never play, and a decent selection of indie games, which I never even had the time to go into in this video about indie arcade machines. My main gripe, though, is the payment system, because you see, most of these arcades will either use a form of token or credit, or will just be free play, so you pay the entrance fee and then you can just add, and then you can just play as much as you want. This decided to start inbreeding and like made it a mix. So you pay the entrance fee, and then on top of that, you get a $5 card of credits. So all of the retro machines are set to free play, but then the redemption machines, the UFO catchers, and the pinball all require credit, which I think is fucking stupid. Either have it one way or the other, instead of having this weird, like, you can't go both ways. It's just not possible. Why not? It's just not possible. I just find it really annoying. Like, I have it one way or have it the other. Me personally, I prefer just the credit token system, because I just think I think you just make more conscious decisions in the games you choose to play, and I think it just makes it a more enjoyable experience than if you just have free play, in which you just take any game you can play for granted, and just I just think free play just doesn't maximize the experience like how a token credit based system works. But I digress. But having it weird in this weird both ways just kind of feels like a cop out. Like, it really wouldn't have hurt, in my opinion, to just have it on a token credit system. And I have a theory they did this probably because the retro machines probably don't make much money in tokens or credits, so they just had them all on free play. But I feel like you definitely still could have made profit if you just had to pay for tokens or credits in a different system. I just find it really annoying. So because of that, it's going in the honorable mention right above Dave & Buster's. The Time Rift Arcade. Now this is, again, another one in Texas within the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it was opened by the 8-Bit Guy, my favorite YouTuber to fall asleep to. I am an IT master now. Too bad I will never put it to use because none of my clients ever asked me to repair arcade machines or Apple II computers. But this arcade is awesome. I think that they have such a great selection, and it's like the amalgamation of every criteria I set for what I think makes a good arcade, just having a mix of everything for everyone. So you'll have some new games, some old games, some claw machines, and this wasn't even one I mentioned. They have an entire set of retro consoles and retro computers you can play on at the arcade, which is really cool to give that option. And it's just a perfect amalgamation of everything. It uses free play, but it's just such a great amalgamation of machines and everything that it's just an enjoyable experience overall. And because of that, it will be the gay lover of Arcade Odyssey, because they will be right next to each other on the rankings. Now, time to get to its sister arcade, Electric Starship, which is opened and operated by one of the owners of the Time Rift Arcade. Now, this arcade, I have to be honest, I don't think it's as quality as the Time Rift Arcade, mainly because there's a Mortal Kombat 1 machine in there. So, I'll have to deduct some points for that. But other than that, this is also a really solid arcade with a bunch of great options. And because of that, I'm putting it a layer below Time Rift Arcade because it has an MK1 machine. The Barcade. Now this is one of those, now this is actually a chain, which I was talking about, oh, the chains are dead and all that, but this is a surprise that you have a chain of arcades that I actually think are quality. And the Barcade, I think, is It's good, but it definitely does focus a lot heavily on retro systems rather than newer systems of cool qualities. You're not going to really find like any rhythm games that you like. Well, I hope you like Tempest. That's probably the only rhythm game you're going to find at a barcade. And they got multiple locations. I most know them for the ones in Manhattan, but a bunch of cool locations. I think the bar part is definitely heavy carrying the branding of it. I definitely do feel it's leaning heavier into a bar than an arcade, but they definitely do have good selection throughout most of the locations I've seen. And because of that, it's going into the Cade tier, Draftcade. So this is another one of those locations that is a chain that's mixing itself with a bar, so you can drink some Stella and play some Family Guy pinball. Although I don't know if any of the locations have Family Guy pinball. But this is another really solid chain as well. They have multiple locations, mainly in the northern, eastern United States. But definitely a lot of classics to look out for, and definitely some newer stuff too. You're definitely going to get some more variation and diversity in the body shape. You know, a lot more body diversity in the cabinets you see here. And I think that's cool, but I'm still just going to lump it in with Barcade, because to be honest, I kind of struggle to differentiate the two, because like I can't really identify it by how good their drinks are, how good their food is, because that's not really something I remember about these places at all. But a really solid selection nonetheless. You have to remember that all of these are like leagues, like pegs above Dave & Buster's, so because of that, it's going into the Cade tier with Barcade as well. Yestercade. These are some really creative names. Now, Yestercade is a chain, again, in the northeastern United States. They really got us good there. They really got us good. And I think this is one of the best of these chains that I've seen, the smaller chains that focus on things that are, dear God, anything other than Dave & Buster's. And I think they have a really solid selection at every single one of their locations. It's just a solid roundabout overall of retro machines and even some newer machines. And they even sell some dumb shit in the front if you want to buy like an Atari 2600 game that no one cares about, like Gorf or something. And they also offer consoles like the Time Rift Arcade does as well at all their locations. And I've seen some of the stuff that they have, and they honestly have a pretty good selection of games for their console library too. So I think no matter which Yestercade you're at, it is a win-win, and it is definitely better than the other two I mentioned. It's still going in the Cade tier though. Cidercade. Jesus Christ, we're gonna be here all day. Now, Cidercade is another one of these chains, but it's not located in the northeastern United States. It's located in Texas. Big old Texas, known for its arcades. But I digress. Cidercade honestly is really good. All their locations have really massive amounts of arcade machines of all kinds. It's not like the other three Cades. And I think they just have a really solid selection overall of newer machines and older machines and even some rarities. So overall, it ends in Cade, alright. Into the Cade category we go. Starcade. Jesus Christ. It closed because life sucks. So it's going into the Dave & Buster's category. Tokyo Station. This is located in Arlington, Texas. Into the Dave & Buster's category we go. The Pinball Hall of Fame. Now, this is a tourist attraction in the best way possible. It captivates your eye on the Las Vegas Strip with that big-ass sign telling you what it's about. It's about baseball, right? Now, I've seen so many people talk about how this is like one of the few attractions in Vegas that is still worth going to, because they're not gonna rob you of your wallet. It's crazy. In Las Vegas, you're getting robbed at the casinos, you're getting robbed at the Gucci store, and you're getting robbed on the streets, but not at the Pinball Hall of Fame. The Pinball Hall of Fame truly lives up to its name. It is exceptional. Now, their arcade selection isn't super big, but you don't come there for that. You come there for the pinball. And their selection of pinball is amazing. It goes from those really bright colored pinball machines from the 60s and 70s to newer machines of all sorts. And it is a blast to get in, and it's cheap, and that's a miracle for Vegas, because water is a fucking dollar. Where else is that gonna be? $1. Back in high school, that shit was like $2.50 at the vending machine. I got robbed. I get robbed a lot in my life, if you don't know. Pastimes. Now, continuing with the trend of pinball, Pastimes, it was opened by this guy named Rob Burke. This guy was bored during COVID, so he began collecting pinball machines like you do, and he just had a ton of them. And so he chose to open an arcade in an abandoned mall in Ohio. And it is legendary. It's arcade and pinball. Its total number of machines is massive. It's about as big, it's almost as big as Galloping Ghost, like 190 total machines, I think. 1,090 total. I could be wrong about that. This video is entirely unscripted if you couldn't tell already. 1,090 machines across a ton of pinball, and a bunch of, like, just also a really, I don't want to discount the selection of arcade machines as well. It's a lot of really good shit. Like, when you enter, the first thing you see is a computer space cabinet. There's not many places you can say you can do that. You can't say that at Galloping Ghost. So that's one up to Pastimes Arcade. And because of that, it will have to go into the Transcendence tier for automatically having computer space. Above Fun Spot, even though Fun Spot also has computer space. Chuck E. Cheese. Into the Chuck E. Cheese tier we go. Aladdin's Castle. Now, Aladdin's Castle died many years ago, so it goes in the Dave & Buster's tier because it died. There's only one left, and to be honest, it kind of looks like the arcade that I used to go to in my hometown that was also a cinema. It kind of strikingly resembles that, and it kind of creeps me out in some ways. Disney Quest, go f*** yourself. So that was just a small sample of some arcades. I probably missed a ton, probably most of them. But most of them just kind of look like this, so who cares? They all go in the Dave & Buster's tier. Overall, do I think arcades are dead? No, but they're hard carried by independent locations rather than chains like how it is in Asian countries. I don't know, that arcade cinema I used to go to as a child is still open, and I don't know how it's still open. I don't see anyone going there. I don't know why I made this video. Moral of the story, don't go to Dave & Buster's, Part 5 is in development.